All right, so we've talked about the female reproductive system. We are now moving on to the male reproductive system. So I just want you to answer this question, and I want you to think about it. You don't need to actually write anything down, but if we were in class, I'd ask you, what happens for males when they go through puberty, and what changes happen to their body? So if you're a gentleman, this might be a little bit easier for you to answer. But some common responses are usually that they get taller, their voice gets deeper, they maybe start to get acne, they start to grow hair everywhere, so all over their body. And one of the things we talked about in the female reproductive system was the topic of pubic hair a little bit. So pubic hair does have a function. Pubic hair is there to keep bacteria and things that shouldn't be entering that area out. So a common question that students will ask in class is that, so should you get rid of it or should you keep it? And that is your personal choice. So whatever you prefer, but know that there is a function of it, or a purpose for it. Another thing that males tell me that happens to their body when they go through puberty is that, and I'm going to say it in correct terms, that their testicles start to descend away from their body. So their testicles start to descend away, which means they hang a little bit lower than they were before. And what that signals is that your body has started producing mature sperm cells. So gentlemen, you make sperm cells your entire life, but when you go through puberty, you start to produce those mature sperm cells. There's not a specific age that guys and girls go through puberty. Some start earlier, some late elementary, early elementary, middle school, high school. It's just whenever your body is ready, then it will start to go through those changes. So talking about the male reproductive system, here's what you're going to have in front of you. You are going to have the notes. The first one is going to be, actually this will be the first one, just some key definitions. So again, as I go through them, I would just pause the PowerPoint so you can fill in the definitions. And then we're going to have a little coloring diagram fun today. So starting us off, what is the function or the purpose of the male reproductive system? You actually don't need to write this in, but I do want to go over it with you. So the male reproductive system is going to produce the male sex hormone, which is testosterone. Its function is to store sperm cells, and it's to deliver the sperm cells to the female reproductive system, or in other words, to reproduce. So here are some essential vocab terms you need to know. So again, you will add them to this page. I would recommend that you pause it and you fill them in. So sperm are the male reproductive cells. Fertilization, which we talked about in the last video, is one sperm cell joining with an egg cell. Testes are the male reproductive glands that produce testosterone and sperm. So your testes are your testicles. Testosterone is the sex hormone in males that affects the production of sperm and signals all the changes that happen during puberty. The scrotum is the sac of skin that contains the testes or the testicles. Ejaculation is the ejection of semen from the penis. The penis is the external male sex organ, or essentially what's on the outside of the body. And then don't worry about number 8. We're going to kind of cut that out of the lesson, but it's infertility, the condition of being unable to reproduce. So here's the diagram that you have on your notes. And these are all the structures of the male reproductive system. So there are some internal and some external structures. External means it's on the outside of the body. Internal means it's on the inside of the body. So essentially what I'm going to do with you today is I'm going to take you on the life of a sperm cell. So we're going to talk about where they start and where they will end up. All you are going to do in your notes is, if you have this printed off, then what I want you to do is use any sort of colors, or even if you don't have it printed off and you're drawing it into your notebook, I want you to use colors, and you'll use one color for each term. So let's say you're just starting with blue, the egg-shaped organ that makes testosterone and sperm. Those are going to be the testicles, so you would write it in blue, and then I want you to color or draw it in your notebook in blue. So we move to the next one, a tightly coiled tube where the sperm go to mature, that's the epididymis. Let's say that one we use red, so write it in red and then color it in or draw it in red. So you are going to get to do a little coloring activity today. And I'm going to jump back and forth in the PowerPoint, so you got to kind of follow along here. Okay, so the very first one that we need to talk about is the very first one on the top. That is the egg-shaped organ that makes testosterone and sperm. So that is, or are your testicles. So this structure right here that looks like an egg, that's an egg-shaped organ. That is where the sperm start, and that is where testosterone comes from, is from inside of the testicles. So ladies, I told you that you're born with all the egg cells you will ever have. So when you're born, they're in your ovaries. Gentlemen, you are not born with your sperm cells. You are actually constantly producing sperm cells from your testicles. So we have these sperm cells that start in the testicles. There's going to be a structure that they go to next where they need to go to mature, and that is called your epididymis, which looks like it's holding on to the testicle right here. So it is the third one down. A tightly coiled tube where the sperm mature is your epididymis. On yours, it's the second one. A tightly coiled tube where the sperm mature is the epididymis. So think of them here like they're brand new baby sperm cells and they have to go somewhere to mature, and that structure is going to be called the epididymis. Just looking at your picture, where do you think the sperm cells will go next? So they can't just like jump out of the epididymis and go swimming around. Everything has to be connected. So the next structure we're looking at that's connected is going to be called the vas deferens, which is this structure right here. So the vas deferens is a tube that carries mature sperm away from the testicles and holds them until they leave the body. So the tube that carries mature sperm away from the testicles and holds them until they are ready to leave the body. So that one is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th one down. So the tube that carries mature sperm away from the testicles and holds them until they leave the body. So after the vas deferens, the sperm cells are going to pass by two structures that are going to give them fluid. The first one will be the seminal vesicle right here, and the next one will be the prostate gland right here. So the seminal vesicle, wrong way, is the pouch that makes a fluid that gives the sperm energy and help them move. So think of it like an energy shot for the sperm cells. So when a male ejaculates and those sperm cells are deposited inside of the female, they have to swim all the way up the vagina, past the cervix, into the uterus, and down the fallopian tube, and they need a lot of energy. So this seminal vesicle is going to be the structure that will give them fluid that gives them energy. So the seminal vesicle is the third one down. 1, 2, 3. The pouch that makes a fluid that gives the sperm energy and helps them move. So I told you the next structure is going to be the prostate gland, which is right here. It's already colored in for you. The prostate gland, wrong way, is a walnut-sized gland that makes fluid that mixes with the sperm to form semen. So when a male ejaculates, he's ejaculating more than just sperm cells. So you're producing sperm cells in your testicles, and when you ejaculate, that is now known as semen. So semen is sperm cells mixed with fluid from the prostate gland and the seminal vesicle. So this structure, again, right here, the prostate gland, it is the second one from the bottom. So the walnut-sized gland that makes fluid that mixes with the sperm to form semen. All right, so the life of a sperm cell, they start in the testicle. They'll move up to the epididymis where they go to mature. Then they're going to go and hang out in the vas deferens until they're ready to be used. It's the tube that carries those mature sperms away from the testicle. Then they're going to pass by the seminal vesicle, which will give them a fluid that gives them energy, like an energy shot. And it'll pass by the prostate gland, which will give it another fluid that essentially churns those sperm cells into semen, which is what a male ejaculates. The next structure they have to pass by is called the Cowper's gland. So the Cowper's gland makes a clear fluid that cleans the urethra before the sperm pass through it. So the Cowper's gland makes a clear fluid that cleans the urethra before the sperm can pass through it right here. And that is the third one from the bottom. So the gland that makes a clear fluid that cleans the urethra before the sperm pass through it. So this is also known as pre-ejaculation. So this clear fluid from the Cowper's gland that cleans out this urethra, because the semen are going to have to travel through it, before a male ejaculates, he will have pre-ejaculation. It's that clear fluid. A common question in class is, can you get pregnant from pre-ejaculation? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. So what happens is, let's say a male has previously ejaculated and there's sperm cells in his urethra right here. If the Cowper's gland is going to clean out the urethra and there's sperm cells still in it, then it's going to clear out any of those sperm cells as well. Now, it's going to be less likely, but know that it is possible to get pregnant just from pre-ejaculation alone. So even if the male does not ejaculate inside of the female, pre-ejaculation could still get a woman pregnant. So the next structure we need to talk about is the urethra, which is this tube right here. So the urethra is the tube that carries sperm and urine out of the body. So that is the 1, 2, 3, fourth one from the bottom. The tube that carries mature sperm. Oh, I'm sorry, no, it's not. Where is it? Oh, it's the last one. The tube that carries sperm and urine out of the body is the urethra. So let me show you that structure again. The urethra right here. So if you look, it'll carry the semen out through the penis. And this urethra is also connected to his bladder. So a male ejaculates and urinates out of the same opening or out of the same tube, which would be the urethra. That is why the Cowper's gland really needs to clear it out. Because let's say there were urine cells present inside the urethra. When a male ejaculates, he doesn't want urine. He wants that semen. So the Cowper's gland is going to be what will clear out that urethra before the male ejaculates. So let's look at this external structure, which is the penis. So the organ that's made up of spongy tissue, and when a man becomes sexually excited, the tissue fills with blood and becomes erect. So the penis is this external structure right here. On your notes, it is the 1, 2, 3, fourth one down. So the organ made up of spongy tissue. When a man becomes sexually excited, the tissue fills with blood and becomes erect. So just some common questions about the penis is, one, there's no bone in it whatsoever, despite it being called other things besides an erection. So when a man is sexually excited or sexually aroused, there's actually blood chambers in here that fill with blood that causes the penis to become erect. Another common question that I get is just about different size, and just know that everything is normal. So there's not anything that's abnormal. It's just kind of runs in your genes or your DNA. And the last common question I get is just when you actually look at a physical structure of a penis. A penis could be circumcised or uncircumcised. And if you want to do a little bit more research on that, then feel free to do that on your own. But know that both of them are completely normal. So there's nothing really abnormal when it comes to that structure. So by this point, what you should have is you should have all your terms filled out, and you should have this beautifully colored picture of the male reproductive system on your notes. And then you should have the definitions filled out as well. Now, I have a few more facts for you. So first, and this is, if we're going back to the first page of notes, it's at the very bottom where it says sperm production. So sperm form in your testes. You're producing sperm over your whole entire lifespan, but it's not until you hit puberty where you're producing mature sperm, which is the next one. Once you hit puberty, you are producing millions of sperm cells a day, and their function is to swim to find the female egg cell. So when a male ejaculates, the male is going to ejaculate anywhere from 300 to 500 million sperm cells at one time. So every time a male ejaculates, now the sperm cell is one of the smallest cells in the male body, he's expelling, let's say, about 300 million sperm cells at one time. And know that all it takes is for one of those sperm cells to meet an egg cell for the female to get pregnant. So think of those odds. When he ejaculates, about 300 million sperm cells and it just takes one to get the female pregnant. Now, if a female doesn't use her egg cell, then she has a menstrual cycle or her period, and the body gets rid of that egg cell. If a gentleman does not use his sperm cells, so let's say he's producing them and he doesn't ejaculate, essentially what's going to happen is, where is it? They're going to degenerate, meaning they're going to break down on their own and they'll just reabsorb back into your body. So if you're producing all these sperm cells and you don't actually ejaculate or you don't use them, then your body just breaks down of them on their own. You don't feel it, you don't know what's happening, and they get reabsorbed back into your body. Now, ejaculation occurs when the penis is in an erect state. The erection is the condition in which the penis becomes larger and stiffer as blood fills in those chambers, but an erection does not need to result in ejaculation. So every time a male has an erection, that does not mean that he has to ejaculate, because again, like I said, if those sperm cells are not used, then they can break down and they'll be reabsorbed back into the body. So what you should have done, again, is your 2 pages of notes should be filled out, and what you're going to do is you'll take a picture and you will send them to me through Remind or my email, and these will count as part of your notebook check grade. So again, any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to shoot me an email. Usually there's a lot more questions that I get in class, but we're not in class, so it's okay to email me some questions. And I have some other links if you want to further your research as well.